Hello everybody and welcome. This is Not a Pro Gardener here, and today we're going to be in the in-ground garden showing you how we cut our costs on fertilizer for next year. We trialed this last year and it turned out pretty good, so we're just going to kind of show you what we're doing again. So, how are we going to overwinter this garden plot? We chose to cover crop. Just like we showed up at the other garden plot, we were cover cropping there. If you've seen the update video, you can see how that's doing. Now, when do you want to do this? Roughly 2 to 4 weeks before your first frost date. Ours is around October, mid-October, so we're cutting it pretty close. We're going to be doing this in the 30 by 35 plot we got back here. Why are we doing this? Why do we even want to put forth the effort here? Well, we named off a few reasons why we chose to do this specific process here. We chose to cover crop this because, well, we saved money on our pre-plant fertilizer this year. We planted in our raised beds, that cover crop turned it in, and then after that cover crop, we planted our transplants, our brassicas, celery, and other things like that, which would be the kale, collards, you know. If you've seen some of the videos, we had some cabbage in there and some of those multiplying onions. So, we had those in all 3 raised beds, and we did not plant any pre-plant fertilizer and fertilized our plants one time with the Agro Thrive 323, I think it is. It's an organic fertilizer. And that's it. And everything was fully satisfied. I would say it was a complete success for us, so we're going to try it in the in-ground garden this time. Next is we want to lower our weed seed bank. This is a new garden plot back here, which is always going to have high weed pressure. So we did the tarp and till method. That seemed to help some, but there's still way too much weed pressure. So we're going to use this as a means to choke out some weeds. We also want to have a living root throughout the garden that's not weeds over winter. So that's why we got this overwintering mix, because it has many benefits. It's not just one cover crop seed, it's many of them mashed together, and they have so many benefits. We're just going to name off a few. That's why we're trying to make this video mainly just about the cover crop for this specific plot, and that's it. It adds organic matter to your garden beds or in-ground garden. Now that is a big thing for us because we have practically none out here in this hard clay soil. That it increases the moisture. It increases the moisture and nutrient holding capabilities. That's also an issue. It can help with drainage and such like that. Next is the deep rooting cover crops that help break up through the hard compaction layers. With hard clay soils, that is something that we struggle with sometimes here. Some cover crop seeds can be forage for your livestock, and that helps out tremendously with chickens or any other animals you might dream to have out here. I would love to have a chicken tractor, but right now it's just not in the cards. That also reduces money costs there as well. Another reason is it can reduce soil erosion throughout the winter or spring, which is very helpful for some people who planting on a slant or a hill, you know, stuff like that. Now, when the overwintering cover crop grows to the size that I want it to be, which is about a foot roughly, then it can take that hard frost, and it's kind of like putting this garden bed to rest till the spring. And then when spring hits, it will start growing again to produce more foliage and possibly more nitrogen for your soil for fixation, and it can also add organic matter to the soil the bigger it gets, which is what you want. Now we're just going to talk about this overwintering mix, is what it's called for us. This is pretty much what the website states about it. It's like a description. I'm just going to kind of give you a little insight on what it says about this specific mix. Designed to plant in the fall because it's an overwintering mix. It provides a ground cover for your garden, the living root throughout the colder months. It has hairy vetch, fixation blondes of clover, the Wyoming winter peas are some of the most cold hardy legumes that is provided in this mix. that will provide organic nitrogen in the spring whenever turned in or tarped and crimped. The Elbon cereal rye, P919 beardless winter barley provide a carbon source and massive root growth, kind of like a living mulch, perfect for rolling or mowing in the spring. The rapeseed is a great forage if you want to graze with the mix, but also providing a great taproot to break up compacted soils. Now also the hairy vetch kind of has a 1 to 3 foot taproot as well that helps do the same thing, scavenge nutrients and such like that. Now the reason some of you might even be here to this is to save money on your fertilizer costs next year. The nitrogen fixing cover crops. They save money on your pre-plant fertilizer, which is what we did last year. We're going to do it again this year. Some of the cover crops can be used to fix some atmospheric nitrogen in their root nodules. It can be released or used by subsequent crops, which is the crops after the cover crop. Now, the mix has rapeseed, hairy vetch, and peas in it. The rapeseed can fix up to 40 to 160 pounds per acre. The hairy vetch can do 90 to 200 pounds per acre, and the peas can do 100 to 150 pounds per acre. Now, in my case, over winter, it's going to cut that in half, roughly, and I'm only going to have so much available. But that is a huge help for me, because brassicas, they really need their nitrogen. That's going to show next year in the garden videos. Hopefully, this all works out, and you get to see the results from this. I'm really looking forward to documenting it and showing you along the way. Now the legumes, they contain more nitrogen than microbes needed for the breakdown. Then half of the nitrogen is available within the 1 to 2 months after the cover crop dies. So let's say it's in the spring and I get this cover crop. It's like 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks before I'm ready to plant. I want to already start thinking about turning this guy in, crimping it, tarping it, and then 2 to 4 weeks after it's crimped, I need to keep checking it periodically to see if it's terminated. If it's terminated, then I need to take the tarp off and start working that in however you desire. Because you only got 1 to 2 months of that nitrogen being available for your plants, and you want to take advantage of as much as you can. So now adding the organic matter to your soil leads to improvements in the structure, stability, and increasing moisture and nutrient holding capabilities for your plant growth. That definitely helps in the next year. So let's say somebody uses the synthetic fertilizer or an organic fertilizer or side dresses something. Those organic materials in your soils can uphold moisture and nutrients in those hard times, like whenever it's really hot outside and the ground dries out faster than normal. It'll help hold that water down below that top layer of soil and help aid in some of those stresses for your plants. Now you heard me say something about these living roots. Now the living root that I want over the winter, it's going to provide erosion and weed control for this garden bed behind me. It's going to lessen soil compaction. The deep rooting cover crops, like the hairy vetch or the rapeseed, the hairy vetch has a 1 to 3 foot deep taproot that goes down to create more channels for your water to infiltrate down deeper into those like hard clay soils that I have. Sometimes that water just sits on top, you know. But this is going to help alleviate some of these problems for me. So you want to pick your cover crop to kind of match what problems you might be having for the next season, right? So the crops that follow the cover crop will have a better water, maybe reservoir, or be able to hold more water into that hard clay soil that I have instead of it just running off and washing the silt off the top. The deep growing roots can grab the nutrients in the soil before they escape into your groundwater, which that is a big win. They break through the soil compaction, which is also one of the reasons why we picked it. So these are some of the reasons why we chose to do a cover crop here, to help this soil and also to give back to it. You know, you want to kind of always give back to your soil instead of just take. So now, since we talked about all the reasons why and what we did and why we're doing it again, the main reason was the fertilizer cost. Kind of give you that little bit of relief. Yeah, it was roughly $70. Yeah, it was a little bit of money to spend to get this seed and effort, but it's going to pay off for me next year. I just know from experience the year before. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come out here and we're going to start taking some of this stuff down. The tomatoes, peppers, and other 2 cucumber rows are done, and I'm going to start taking all this stuff out today. So let's go ahead and get that done. Alright everybody, we got all this stuff pulled out and taken care of. As you can see, it looks completely different than what it was a couple hours ago. So, now that we got all this done, we ripped up our drip lines, put all that stuff out of the ground in a way, got all our T-posts out of the ground. Now, we just went over with the wheel hoe and took care of these existing weeds and whatever else was left in here. And I think we're just going to end the video here. We don't really have enough time to bore you with me broadcasting some more seed, so I'm just going to spare you of all that. But the gist is I got all this cleaned up, and I'm going to be roughing it up with the wheel hoe to get it to break up that hard clay top right there so I can broadcast this seed, and then I will overhead water it until it comes up, probably every day or every other day, and then water it as needed as time goes on. So in order to put this garden bed to rest, we had to tear all this stuff out, clean it up. I'll probably rake it out tomorrow after everything dries up, and and then after that we will mix our inoculant, put it in with the seed, and then we will broadcast it, rake it in, and then we will overhead water it till it comes up. So this is Not a Pro Gardener here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time out here in the garden. Have a great day.